Ladies, let's get real. There's a line between loving someone and losing yourself in them. And too many incredible women are crossing that line without even realizing it. You might think you're being understanding, supportive, or the perfect partner. But let me ask you something. When did loving him start costing you pieces of yourself? You see, there are certain things you should never do for a man, not because you're playing games, not because you're being cold, but because doing them slowly erodes your self-respect. And here's the part no one tells you. The moment you abandon your standards for a man, he stops valuing you. In fact, here's a hard truth most people won't say out loud. Men don't fall in love with the woman who sacrifices everything for them. They fall in love with the woman who refuses to. Yes, read that again. Today, I'm not here to sugarcoat. I'm here to save you from wasting years on patterns that leave you drained, disappointed, and doubting your worth. This video is your wake-up call. So before you give, before you forgive, before you bend one more time, ask yourself, am I crossing a line I'll regret later? Stay with me, because I'm about to share 9 things you should never ever do for a man. And trust me, number 7, almost every woman gets that one wrong. Let's dive. There's a big mistake too many women make in relationships. They overinvest their time. And here's the truth. The moment you start giving your time like it's unlimited, you start losing your value in his eyes. You think if you just keep showing up, if you're always available, if you keep pouring into him, eventually he'll realize how much you're worth. But that's not how it works. Love doesn't grow because you try harder. It grows because effort is matched. It grows because he shows up too. When you're always waiting on his call, adjusting your plans, giving him your energy before he's even earned it, you're teaching him that your time is cheap. And when something feels cheap, people stop valuing it. Here's the uncomfortable part. Sometimes you're investing time in a man who's not even asking for it. He's not stepping up, he's not committing, but you're still there, hoping he'll change, hoping it will click for him. But the more you invest, the more trapped you feel. You start thinking, I've already put in this much time. I can't just walk away now. That's the sunk cost trap. That's how people waste years. Let's get something straight. Your time is your power. It should feel expensive. It should feel like something someone has to earn, not something you give on credit, hoping they'll pay you back later. If a man is giving you mixed signals, showing low effort, or constantly making you wait, he's not valuing your time, and you shouldn't either. The right man will not keep you waiting. He will not leave you guessing. He will make you feel like your time is valuable, because he genuinely sees you that way. Stop over-investing. Stop waiting. Stop giving more than you're receiving. You don't need to overgive to prove your worth. You don't need to chase a man's attention by sacrificing your time. Your presence should be a privilege, not a guarantee. And the moment you start believing that, everything changes. When you stop over-investing, the wrong men fade away, and the right man, he'll rise to meet you, because your time finally feels as valuable to him as it should have always felt to you. Protect your time. It's your most powerful filter. One of the biggest mistakes women make in relationships is abandoning their own dreams to support his. It happens slowly. You start compromising, adjusting, pushing your own goals to the side just to make room for his life, his plans, his future. And at first you tell yourself, you're just being supportive, you're being flexible, you're being a good partner. But here's the truth. If loving him requires you to shrink yourself, it's not love. If supporting him means giving up on what lights you up, you're not in a relationship, you're in a sacrifice. Too many women think they need to choose him or their dream, but the right man never puts you in that position. The right man isn't threatened by your ambition. He doesn't feel smaller because you dream big. In fact, he's excited to see you win. But when you're with the wrong man, you start making quiet sacrifices. You let go of that project you were passionate about. You skip opportunities that might take you further than him. You silence the parts of yourself that want more, just to keep the peace. You settle for being his cheerleader instead of being the main character in your own life. And maybe you don't even notice at first. You tell yourself, it's just not the right time. You'll come back to your dreams later. But later never comes, because you've taught yourself to prioritize his growth over your own. And slowly you become a background player in the story you were meant to lead. Let me tell you something most people won't. If you abandon your dreams for a man, you will eventually resent him, even if you love him, because deep down, a part of you will always know you left something behind. And no matter how much you try to be happy, that quiet ache doesn't go away. You were not born to just support someone else's journey. You were born to chase your own. The right man will walk beside you. He won't need you to play small. He won't ask you to trade your purpose for his comfort. He will be proud of you when you're shining. He'll push you to go after what sets your soul on fire, even if that means he has to grow just to keep up. And here's something powerful. When you stop being afraid to outgrow him, you finally find out if he's really meant to grow with you. You don't have to choose between love and your dream, but you do have to choose not to abandon yourself. If you've been waiting for permission to go after what you've always wanted, this is it. Don't leave your dreams on hold for someone who would never press pause on theirs for you. Your life matters. Your purpose matters. You matter. One of the biggest mistakes women make is accepting disrespect just to keep a man. And here's the thing, disrespect doesn't always come in loud, obvious moments. Sometimes it sneaks in through small comments, careless actions, or the way he consistently makes you feel like your voice doesn't matter. And you let it slide. You tell yourself, it's not that serious, or he's just having a bad day. But when did you decide that disrespect was acceptable? Just because you're afraid to lose him? When did you start believing that being treated poorly was the price you had to pay for love? Let's be clear. Love does not require you to tolerate disrespect. You don't prove your loyalty by swallowing your pain. You don't build a strong relationship by shrinking yourself to avoid conflict. When you accept the little jabs, the dismissive tone, the public put-downs, the broken promises, you're teaching him exactly how low he can go and still have you stay. And once you start accepting it, it almost always escalates. What you allow becomes what you settle for. The scary part is, you start to normalize it. You start to think, maybe I'm overreacting. You start making excuses for him. He's stressed. He's going through something. He didn't mean it like that. But every time you excuse it, you're erasing a little piece of yourself. Respect is not optional. It's the foundation of everything. Without it, love is not love. It's attachment. It's control. It's fear disguised as connection. And here's the truth no one tells you. The moment you accept disrespect, you stop being loved for who you are. You start being kept around for how much you're willing to tolerate. You don't earn love by enduring pain. You don't become more valuable by proving how much you can take. You become more invisible, more taken for granted, more replaceable. The right man doesn't put you in a position where you have to choose between keeping him and keeping your dignity. He adds to your peace. He doesn't chip away at it. So why do women stay? Because they're afraid. Afraid of being alone. Afraid of starting over. Afraid that this is as good as it gets. But that fear is what keeps you trapped in disrespect. It convinces you to settle when you were meant to rise. The truth, it's better to be alone with your self-respect than connected to someone who slowly destroys it. You don't need to beg for basic kindness. You don't need to explain why you deserve to be treated well. You don't need to prove your worth to someone who refuses to see it. The most powerful thing you can ever say is this: if you can't respect me, you can't keep me. And then you follow through. Because when you finally choose yourself, you stop accepting what was never good enough. The most damaging mistakes women make is changing their appearance just to please a man. And let's be honest, it doesn't always feel like a big deal in the beginning. Maybe you start by wearing more of what he likes. Maybe you change your hair because he made a subtle comment. Maybe you start working on your body, not because you want to, but because you feel like you're competing for his attention. It feels small. It feels harmless. But over time, it changes you. There's nothing wrong with wanting to look good. There's nothing wrong with evolving your style or working on your body if it makes you feel good. The problem is when you start changing for him, when your beauty choices stop being about your happiness and start revolving around his approval. You might think, if I just look more like his type, maybe he'll love me more. Maybe he'll stay. Maybe I'll feel secure. But here's the truth. No matter how much you adjust, it's never enough to make the wrong man stay. And you know what's worse? Every time you change yourself to fit his ideal, You're telling yourself without saying it that the real you isn't good enough. The more you perform, the more you feel disconnected from yourself. And eventually you realize you don't even feel beautiful anymore, because you weren't dressing up for you. You were dressing up to meet someone else's standard. The right man doesn't want you to become his type. He's already attracted to who you are. He loves your natural confidence, your original beauty, your effortless self-expression. He won't ask you to erase pieces of yourself to make him feel more comfortable. If a man's attraction to you depends on you changing your hair, your body, your style, or your identity, what he wants is not you. What he wants is a version of you that serves his ego. And you deserve better than that. You deserve to look in the mirror and love what you see. Not because it pleases someone else, but because it feels right to you. Here's the thing. Changing yourself to keep him doesn't work. It doesn't make him stay faithful. It doesn't make him more loyal. It doesn't make him respect you more. If anything, it shows him that you're willing to compromise your identity for his attention. And the second you start abandoning yourself, his interest actually drops. There's nothing more magnetic than a woman who owns her look, who walks in her own skin without needing approval. A woman who dresses, moves, and carries herself for her, not for him. Before you ever change something about yourself, stop and ask, would I still want this if he weren't here? If the answer is no, you already know what to do. You don't need to transform to keep a man's eyes on you. The right man is drawn to your confidence, not your compliance. One of the most damaging mistakes a woman can make is covering for a man's mistakes. And what's heartbreaking is that it often starts from a place of love. You tell yourself you're just being loyal. You're protecting him. You're holding him down like a good woman should. You think you're helping him by stepping in, fixing things, making excuses, or cleaning up his mess behind the scenes. But here's the truth you can't ignore. Every time you cover for his mistakes, you teach him there are no real consequences for hurting you. You start carrying weight that was never yours. You take the blame when he slips. You lie to your friends and family to protect his image. You make excuses for the way he treats you because you're hoping if you just hold on a little longer, he'll change. But that's not loyalty, that's self-betrayal. When you constantly shield him from responsibility, you're not helping him grow. You're enabling him to stay exactly the same. You're softening the impact of his bad choices, which means he never feels the pressure to do better. Why would he? You've shown him you'll always pick up the pieces. And while you're covering for him, who's covering for you? Who's protecting your peace? Who's making sure you're okay? Because while you're busy trying to save him, you're losing yourself. You're losing sleep. You're losing confidence. You're slowly building a life where his comfort always comes first, and your well-being comes last. Sometimes women cover for men because they're scared of what happens if they stop. Will he leave? Will people judge me? Will the relationship fall apart? But ask yourself, what exactly are you trying so hard to hold together? If it only works because you're carrying the weight of his bad decisions, is that really a relationship worth saving? The man who truly deserves you doesn't need you to cover for him. He holds himself accountable. He steps up. He owns his actions even when it's uncomfortable. He doesn't need you to protect him from his own reflection. It's not your job to save him from himself. It's not your job to protect his reputation at the cost of your own peace. Your job is to protect your standards, your energy, your future. Sometimes love means stepping back, not stepping in. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is let him feel the weight of his own actions. Let him face the fallout. Let him sit in the discomfort that you've been carrying for too long. You don't earn more love by tolerating more pain. You don't become more valuable by sacrificing your peace. The moment you stop covering for him is the moment you start choosing yourself. And the man who's meant for you, he won't need you to clean up his life. He'll already know how to take responsibility for it. Stop carrying what was never yours. You've done enough. Biggest silent mistakes women make in relationships is putting a man's happiness above their own. It sounds noble. It sounds selfless. It feels like love. But slowly, without even realizing it, you start living your life around his moods. his needs, his comfort, and you begin shrinking in the process. At first, it looks like compromise. You cancel your plans because he's upset. You keep quiet about your feelings because you don't want to ruin his day. You push your dreams to the side because you're so focused on making sure he's okay. But here's the hard truth. Prioritizing his happiness at the cost of your own is how you lose yourself. Love doesn't mean sacrificing your joy so someone else can keep theirs. Love isn't about constantly adjusting yourself to keep him comfortable. And if you have to constantly set yourself on fire to keep him warm, how long do you think you can last? When you make his happiness your full-time job, you forget what makes you happy. You start to feel guilty for wanting things for yourself. You hesitate to speak up. You become the easygoing woman who doesn't complain, who doesn't ask for much, who carries the weight of the relationship while he coasts. But here's what's dangerous. The more you make him the center of your world, the more he starts to expect it. He begins to assume you'll always bend, always adapt, always put him first. And the minute you ask for something back, suddenly you're the problem. Suddenly you're too much. But you were never too much. You just finally stopped abandoning yourself. A man who truly loves you will want you to be happy. He won't feel threatened by your joy, your success, or your boundaries. He'll celebrate your happiness as if it's his own. But the wrong man, he'll let you pour and pour until you're empty. And he'll still expect more. You have to remember, you are not responsible for his emotional state. You are not his therapist. You are not his emotional crutch. You are not his fixer. The second you start giving up your happiness to keep someone else satisfied, you're not in a relationship, you're in a quiet survival mode. The right man won't ask you to choose between your happiness and his. The right man will make sure both of you win. And if you're in a situation where it always has to be about him, his comfort, his mood, his needs, you have to ask yourself, where did I go? When did my happiness become optional? You deserve a life where your joy is a priority, not an afterthought. You deserve a partner who feels like sunlight, not another weight on your shoulders. Never forget, protecting your happiness is protecting your future. And the moment you choose yourself is the moment everything starts to shift. One of the most painful traps women fall into is waiting endlessly for a man to commit. You tell yourself he just needs more time, he's figuring things out, he'll get there eventually. And before you know it, months turn into years, and you're still standing in the same spot waiting. But here's the hard truth. When a man knows, he knows, and when he doesn't, he drags you along while he figures it out. You think you're being patient, but patience without a timeline quietly becomes self-abandonment. You start building your life around his pace, his timeline, his comfort, and what's worse, you start lowering your own standards just to keep the hope alive. You tell yourself stories like he's just not ready yet, or he's been hurt before, or it's complicated right now. But ask yourself, how long are you willing to wait for someone who shows you through his actions that he's not in a hurry to choose you? The right man doesn't keep you in limbo. He doesn't need years to decide if you're the one. He values your time. He values your heart. He moves towards you, not around you. A man who is serious about you makes his intentions clear without you having to ask, beg, or decode mixed signals. When you wait forever for a man to commit, you lose time you can't get back. You spend precious years holding space for someone who may never fully show up. And the more you invest, the harder it feels to walk away. You convince yourself, I've already waited this long. I can't leave now. That's not love. That's fear of starting over. Fear of being alone, fear that no one else will come. But here's what you have to understand. Waiting for a man who's unsure about you slowly trains you to be unsure about yourself. You start questioning if you're asking for too much. You start thinking maybe you don't deserve more. You lower your standards to protect the fantasy that one day he'll wake up and finally commit. But the man who's really for you won't make you beg for certainty. He won't make you question your worth. He will show you, consistently, intentionally, and without delay. Waiting forever doesn't make him love you more. It makes him more comfortable taking his time because he knows you're still there. Your time is your most valuable asset, and giving it to someone who doesn't know if they want to build a future with you is like making endless deposits into a bank that never plans to pay you back. You deserve someone who is sure about you, someone who doesn't hesitate, someone who's not just passing time with you, but building time with you. Stop waiting for someone to choose you. Start choosing yourself, because the man who's really ready, he won't make you wait forever. One of the quietest ways women lose themselves in relationships is by giving up their voice. It doesn't happen all at once. It happens when you start holding back your opinions, when you stop speaking up, when you silence yourself just to keep the peace. Maybe you tell yourself, it's not worth the argument, or I don't want to seem difficult, or if I stay quiet, he'll be happier. But the more you stay quiet, the more invisible you become to him and to yourself. You start agreeing with things you don't actually agree with. You start going along with plans you don't really like. You laugh at jokes that actually hurt. You start tiptoeing around what you really want to say because you're afraid he won't like the real you. But here's the painful truth. When you lose your voice, you slowly lose your power. Your opinions matter. Your feelings matter. Your voice is not optional. It's essential. The right man doesn't love you because you always agree. He loves you because you're fully present in the relationship. Your thoughts, your beliefs, your perspective. You weren't meant to blend in. You weren't meant to shrink just to make someone else comfortable. When you give up your voice, you start becoming someone you don't even recognize. You begin to live in quiet resentment. You start to feel small, disconnected, and unsatisfied, even if everything looks fine on the outside. And let's be real. Men notice when you silence yourself. They notice when you stop pushing back, when you start always agreeing, when you become the easy version of you. And you know what happens? The man who's wrong for you will take advantage of that. He will start making decisions without you. He will stop asking how you feel. He will assume your silence is the same as approval. And the man who's right for you, he wants your voice. He wants to know your opinions even when they're different from his. He wants your honest reactions, not just what you think he wants to hear. Because a real partner values your mind, not just your presence. You don't have to always agree to be loved. You don't have to water yourself down to keep him interested. You don't have to silence your needs to prove you're easy to love. Your voice is your identity. Your voice is what makes the relationship real, balanced, and alive. If you feel like you've lost your voice, it's time to get it back. Speak up, even if your voice shakes, even if he's not used to hearing you say no, even if it's uncomfortable. Because the man who truly sees you will make space for your voice, not silence it. Your opinions don't make you difficult. They make you whole. You don't need to be agreeable to be worthy. You need to be heard. Let's take a moment to breathe and really sit with everything we've just talked about. Here's the truth. You are not here to beg for love, to earn basic respect, or to bend yourself into someone else's version of who you should be. You are not made to shrink, to wait forever, or to abandon yourself just to keep someone else comfortable. The biggest takeaway from this entire conversation is this. You come first. Your happiness matters. Your dreams matter. Your time matters. Your voice matters. Your self-respect is not a bargaining chip in a relationship. It is the standard. So many women fall into these patterns, overgiving, overwaiting, over-apologizing, and slowly trading their confidence for crumbs of attention. And it happens because somewhere deep down, you've been taught that loving someone means putting yourself second. But real love doesn't ask you to disappear. Real love makes room for you. It celebrates you. It pushes you to grow, not to shrink. It honors your boundaries, your voice, your pace, and your dreams. And here's the most powerful thing. You don't need to wait for someone to choose you. You can choose yourself right now. You don't have to earn love through sacrifice. You don't have to give up who you are to be loved deeply. Choosing yourself might feel scary. Walking away from disrespect, protecting your time, and standing up for your happiness might feel uncomfortable at first. But that's how you reclaim your life. That's how you set a new standard for how you're treated. Not just by men, but by everyone. The right man, he'll meet you where you are. He won't need you to prove your worth. He won't need you to shrink. He will see your light and protect it, not dim it. So here's your reminder. You don't lose value by standing up for yourself. You become magnetic. You don't push the right people away by demanding respect. You attract them. You are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to want more. You are allowed to walk away when something no longer honors you. Your time, your heart, your voice, treat them like they are priceless, because they are. And when you finally choose yourself first, everything else falls into place.